All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going on a pretty incredible journey, starting with an ancient legend and ending with some of the most amazing hidden connections that, well, literally power our world. So, yeah, let's dive right in. So, here's where it all begins with a simple question. Could a single mysterious pool of water really hold the secrets to ancient legends and reveal some of today's most mind blowing scientific wonders? I know it sounds wild, but stick with me. Let's find out. Okay, so our first stop is right in the heart of India, at a place called Bhimkund. Now, for centuries, this isn't just a pool of water. It's a place of pilgrimage, a place of total wonder, completely wrapped up in myth and folklore. It really is more than just water. It's a story just waiting for us to uncover. And this place has some serious spiritual weight thanks to two incredible legends. The first one comes from the epic Mahabharata. The story goes that the queen, Draupadi, fainted from thirst. So her husband, this super strong Bhim, just smashes his mace into the ground and boom, this pool of pure water springs up. Then there's another story where a sage named Narada sang a song so beautiful that the god Vishnu himself rose from the water, and his divine blue skin actually stained the pool that color. And you can kind of see why these legends stuck around, because this pool has some seriously mysterious qualities. For one, the water, they call it Neelkund, or the blue pool, is just unbelievably clean. We're talking crystal clear. You can see fish swimming way, way down. It also has this deep, indigo blue glow that looks amazing against the red stone walls around it. But maybe the craziest part of all, nobody knows how deep it is. Seriously, people have tried to measure it again and again, but no one has ever reached the bottom. So, you can imagine, for hundreds of years, these stories of gods and heroes were the only way to explain this place. But what if science has its own story to tell? And believe me, it's a story that takes us deep, deep beneath the surface to figure out what's really going on here. Right, the myths are incredible. But what about the geology? What does the rock itself have to say about all this? What's the real science behind this legendary pool? Okay, so here's the keyword you need to know. Adoling. Now, what is that? Well, geologically speaking, adoling is basically a sinkhole. It's a totally natural thing that happens when water wears away soft rock, like limestone, until the ground on top just collapses, creating this deep, water-filled hole. And listen, this isn't just some wild guess. It's confirmed. The Journal of the Geological Society of India, back in October 2010, published research that flat out identified Bhimkund as a classic example of a natural dolly line. So yeah, Beam's mace might be a legend, but the idea of a powerful hole suddenly appearing in the ground, that's actually 100% geologically possible. But here's the thing, does knowing it's a Dolene skull line kind of ruin the magic? Not at all. If anything, it opens the door to understanding other natural phenomena that are honestly just as incredible as any myth. Let's take a look at a few. Okay, so for our first modern marvel, we're heading into the forest. Because right under our feet, there's this secret network, a kind of biological internet that's been silently connecting trees for millions of years. People call it the Wood Wide Web. So how does this web even work? Well, it all comes down to something called mycorrhiza, and it's really this beautiful partnership. You see, trees make extra sugar from sunlight. Fungi underground need that sugar to survive. So the fungi basically plug into the tree's roots, they slurp up the sugar, and in return, they act like this massive root extension, grabbing water and all sorts of nutrients that the tree couldn't get on its own. It's like the ultimate natural trade deal. And when I say connected, I mean really connected. Get this, in one study in a Canadian forest, scientists used DNA to trace the connections. They found one single big hub tree was linked to 47 other trees. It was sending them food, sharing information. It was basically the heart of the whole forest. And this is so important because it just totally flips our idea of a forest. It's not just a bunch of trees competing for sunlight. It's a cooperative, communicating community. It's not a myth. It's a real, living network. All right, so we've gone underground. Now, let's go up, way up, to the world above our heads. We're going to talk about a phenomenon that's just as massive as any ocean on the planet: the amazing flying rivers of the Amazon. So, The key process here is called transpiration. Think about it. You've got billions of trees in the Amazon rainforest, and every single one is constantly breathing out water vapor from its leaves. All that moisture comes together to form these massive, totally invisible rivers in the sky. And then the wind currents grab these rivers and carry them across the whole continent, delivering rain to places thousands of kilometers away. The Amazon literally makes its own weather. It affects everything from farming in Argentina to the climate of the entire planet. And just to give you a sense of the sheer power we're talking about, a single large tree in the Amazon can release up to 1,000 liters of water into the air every single day. Now multiply that by billions of trees. What you get is a flow of water that's actually greater than the Amazon River itself on the ground. I mean, that is a natural marvel on a planetary scale. It's just mind-boggling. So you see, things like the Wood Wide Web and these flying rivers, they aren't just dry scientific facts, are they? They're stories. And it's through telling stories that we really begin to understand our planet, to see all these hidden connections, and really get what they mean for us. So let's look at a few of the most important stories people have told. Let's go back to 1962. Rachel Carson writes Silent Spring. And this book did way more than just warn about pesticides. It told this incredibly powerful story about connections that nobody was seeing. It showed how a chemical sprayed on a farm over here could end up silencing the birds in a town miles and miles away. It made the invisible visible. And that story pretty much kicked off the entire modern environmental movement. Okay, now fast forward a few decades. The story gets bigger. Naomi Klein's book, This Changes Everything, takes the focus beyond just the natural systems and zooms in on the economic systems that are driving the damage. Her argument was that you can't really understand climate change without understanding the much larger story of our economy, which is, you guessed it, another set of powerful and often hidden connections. And that kind of brings us to the stories being told right now. You have books like Paul Hawken's Drawdown, which shifts the whole conversation again. Because after we've learned about the problems and the systems causing them, this story is all about solutions. It's not just doom and gloom. It lays out 100 real, practical actions we can take. It shows that by understanding how the Earth's systems work, we can actually start to write a new story. One that's about hope and one that's about action. So look at the journey we've been on. We started at a mythical pool in India. We went underground to find talking trees. We went up into the sky to see flying rivers. And then we looked at the powerful stories we've created to make sense of it all. And all of that brings us to one final, really crucial question. You know, this whole journey from myth to science, it doesn't really end with a neat little answer. It ends with a choice. As we learn more and more about our planet, the old myths about gods and heroes, they get replaced by the scientific truths of things like dolines and mycorrhiza. So the big question for all of us is, what story are we going to tell now? What's our role in all of this? Are we just going to be observers watching it all happen? Or are we going to be active participants in this absolutely incredible, interconnected marvel that is our planet?